Hello, and welcome to the tutorial of the 2015-16 Project Cam Opener Personalized Professional Learning Planning process. We're documenting this process so that we can learn from our own processing, as well as that other people can learn from this process because we're documenting it. So we're going to go through the entirety of the process and talk about the different elements, the different components, and the different people that are involved within this process, as well as the technologies that are involved so that people can learn from it and we can reflect upon it as well. The entire process is outlined here. We're going to go step by step and talk about each one. I do want to call attention to the different people and the different components that we're going to be calling out. So we will be talking about the Project Cam Opener participant, the person who has received the video toolkit for reflective practice and has received the online community and the personalized professional learning plan, which is the process that we're talking about right now. That's one component. The next component right here is the spreadsheet and form back end, those technological processes that make things real easy and make it seem sort of a little bit more seamless, the process. The personalized professional learning team, the PPL team, those are things that we are either doing manually or that we are interacting with the tools or the people. So those are the things that we're calling out. And then the strategic partner leads. Now this is a specific case where a person or small group of people, one or two people, are leading a group of Project Cam Opener participants. So they are our strategic partners, which is great to have people who are leading the work on their own, but they function a little bit differently than an individual participant. They are a strategic partner who is working with a group of participants. So we just wanted to call that out separately. So let's start at the beginning of this process. What's great is we can use Google Forms to help us with a lot of this process, and we're actually using two forms. So the two forms that we are using are dependent upon how you start interacting with this particular process. So the first question when you access the original form is, do you already have a proposal document? So if you went through the application process and you're an individual who is engaged in Project Cam Opener, then they fill out the individual form. If, on the other hand, you are part of a strategic partnership and you are part of a group, then you may not have already filled out the original application, and so we need some additional demographic data, and you need to really start from the beginning because you have not really thought through what your participation in Project Cam Opener is going to look like. And so the way that we did that was within the form, we made it really big, essentially saying, are you starting from scratch or are you building upon your existing Project Cam Opener proposal? And if you are starting from scratch, then you need to go over here and use this form. So this form is just that second form that allows you to fill out the demographic information, that allows you to start going down this path. But because there are some duplicate questions here, if you've already done this, the proposal part, you don't need to answer those questions. We already know that about you, and you can kind of proceed. So within this process, we're going to start with the people who are filling out the individual PPLP form. So when they fill out the form and they hit the submit button, just like all Google Forms, it automatically goes into a Google spreadsheet. But before that happens, we also want to make sure not only are we capturing it in our own spreadsheet, but that it's also going to the proposal document. So that what you end up having is at the top of the proposal document, you have your proposal, you have any ratings that were made by some of your feedbackers, the people who were providing feedback to your proposal. And then what gets injected or appended to the bottom of your proposal is the personalized professional learning plan, which gives you the level of depth and the next level of specificity for your plan. The way in which we do that technologically is by doing it within a doc Appender add-on. Okay? Now, add-ons are great. They add additional functionality to either a form or a spreadsheet or a document. within Google Docs, and you can access them from the drop down just by choosing the Get Add-ons option. Now, if you already have some add-ons, they stay with you in any form that you are in or any spreadsheet, but the one that we are looking for is Doc Appender. And Doc Appender allows us to append any information from the spreadsheet. It allows us to append it down into a document. Because I've already added it before, it says manage rather than the plus button and free. But if I didn't already have it, I just click the plus button and approve it for use within my form. So what I get to do then is I get to go through the process of using Doc Appender by opening the sidebar. Now, one thing to note is this is the edit view of the form. This isn't the way other people see it when they're actually filling out the form. This is just the edit view. And you'll notice that I have this question that says, what is your project cam opener proposal document name? Because what we want people to do is choose the document to append, because they don't want to append it to every document, right? Every single proposal that exists out there. They want to append it to their own. So in the Doc Appender process, if I click the open sidebar button, it'll, come in from the side here. And what I get to do is I get to choose where all of those documents are housed. I get to choose any Google Drive folder I want to be the list of all of the options within the question. And so I've chosen the Cam Opener Proposals and Personalized Professional Learning Plans for 2015-2016. Because now, when they fill out this form, it gets injected into their proposal, and their proposal becomes their Personalized Professional Learning Plan. It has their ideas originally when they did it in the spring, and then it has their much stronger ideas as they got closer to the beginning of school or even after school had begun. So what's great is I then get to press the next button, and I get to choose which question is going to be populated from all of the list of files from within that folder. So I say save and populate that question with all of those particular files. It's a great way to both append the information within those documents, but it's also a really great way of not having to type in all of those different options where you want a really specific piece of information, because I also get their name because they're choosing which document to append to. They're actually choosing their name because that's the name of their document. So I click next, and then I get to choose which questions I want to populate into the document. So I get to choose everything that is relevant. I'm not going to choose the timestamp or what project cam opener proposal document name, because that's not important information to get injected or doc appended into it. And I get to choose, what the style of the injection or of the appended process. I can either have a bulleted list, a vertical table, or a single horizontal table. Now, if you have a lot of data, a single horizontal table is going to be terrible. That's why I choose the separate vertical tables, and it lets me actually do this so that when they get to the bottom of this form and they click that submit button, it goes to the spreadsheet, it gets logged there, so you can see, oh, all of these are logged directly into my spreadsheet. I've got all of this information. But if I look at Eliza Cohen's, hers got injected directly into her document, and if I scroll down to the bottom there, oh, it starts right there. I get to see what it is that they are planning, what their personalized professional learning plan is, and we can make comments on it and we can see it going through. So this is really valuable information, and I'm just going to follow this line all the way to its logical end. So what's going on here is that all of the PPLP submissions are actually going to be aggregated into a single spreadsheet. So you'll notice that this is just one of the two forms, right? It's one of the two spreadsheets. And so in order to get this to be in a single place, we need a particular tool that's going to allow for that process of actually pushing the data from this spreadsheet into a single spreadsheet so that I can see them all together. And what's great about that is I can use sync data. Okay, so sync data is the add-on that we can use to actually allow for us to push the information. Whenever a new form comes in, I can push it to a final resting place, if you will. Because if you have multiple forms all coming in from different locations, you got to be able to push it. Got to be able to push it to a single location and have it all synced together so that you can see all of your information in one place. So what we'll see here is that we want to take the PPLPs and we want to send them over to our synced applications. We want to take the group PPLPs, send them over, right? So both of those things are happening at the same time, where both forms, so they started off up here as two separate forms. The magic of sync data, and it looks like I used the wrong add-on here, so I'm just going to change that. Sync data instead of push data. That was the old version of the old version of the add-on. And so what we get is this this amazing synced applications. So I see everything. I see their PPLPs. I see everything coming into a single location, syncing back up into a single, and what we call the application and participation database. It's a really valuable way of pulling it all together. So that's sort of that side of the branch. So we've talked all the way through that side of the branch, and because the sun is now directly in my face, I'm just going to scoot over slightly. Hopefully it doesn't bother you too much. Now let's talk about the participant filling out the strategic partner PPLP form. So this is for the folks who have never filled out the original application. They're going to go through a very similar process to what happened in the applications. But there's a spreadsheet that's tied directly to this PPLP form that does all of our magic. And so when they hit the submit button, on the strategic partner PPLP form, the information is collected directly within the Google spreadsheet. But on form submit, there are two things that are going to happen. On form submit, Autocrat, which is another add-on, triggers the creation of their PPLP document from a template. And there is a second add-on, Formule, that will send them an email. Because I talked a lot about this in the previous process documentation, I'm not going to go into it in a lot of depth, but I do want to talk about the different elements and the ways in which this is acting upon the spreadsheet. So when they hit the submit button, it goes into this particular spreadsheet. This is the spreadsheet that's directly tied. So every time somebody pushes the submit button, and all I have to do is I have to create two merges. I create a merge of for the document itself, creating a merge from the spreadsheet into the document, the Google Doc, and then I create a second merge which takes some of the spreadsheet data, that form data, and it sends it via email. And so what we get is, using our lovely drop down again of Autocrat, what you get to see here is our ability to take the information that you have provided within the form and actually create a new document for every single submission. Now, if you were doing this on your own, you would do a new merge job within Autocrat, but because we've done this previously, I can click the Edit Merge button, and what I get to see then are all of the settings that I have already set up. And because we're merging from a spreadsheet into a document, I need to have a really good template for that document. I need to have a document already prepared, like this one. This is my template document for the PPLP. And you'll notice a lot of things within carets or within brackets, right? That are the wildcards. If you've ever used MailChimp or something like that, you can actually use information you already know from the form, from a spreadsheet, and you can actually inject it directly into the document every time it gets created. And so what I have here is my PPLP document that takes all of the form information and just puts it into a nice format so that I can share that directly with the participant. Now, in the autocrat process, all I have to do is map each question to its counterpart within the document. So you'll see what is your name gets mapped to what is your name, right? So the question gets mapped to the part of the document. And all I have to do is go through this process, and then I need to decide what the settings are for the documents that I want to create. So every time somebody hits the submit button, it creates a document that says your name's Project Hymn Opener Personalized Professional Learning Plan. And then it's sent to the information that you have already provided, the email that you've already provided. And then it sends this email in an editable Google Doc that allows editors to share with other users or to change the settings and things like that. And under this advanced setting, this is so valuable. Run Autocrat when new forms are submitted. And what's great about that is every time it gets submitted, it automatically creates that doc, and you get to see what's going on because it actually captures it directly within the spreadsheet. So let's take a look at what's going on there. Because we already have all of our settings saved, all I have to do is scroll over and see, oh, look, this right here is a brand new personalized professional learning document, personalized professional learning plan. And if I open it up, it will show me the document that was created using Autocrat. So it creates the document really easily. It goes into the lovely little format that we had, and it takes all the information that's from the form, injects it into a brand new document. And then the second part of that process, remember we're using a second add-on. The second add-on, what that does is if we actually use Formule, the email merge utility, it can send out an email with information such as your document link. It can send out, the instructions of things that you want people to do with the document. And what's great about this is that, or I should say what's really important about this, is that you need to make sure that you're actually sending the email from the email address or the account that you want the email to come from, right? I was over here in this, I was in my Gmail account. So benwilkoff@gmail.com. But if I want it to be sent out, if I want the add-on to send from benjamin_wilkoff@dpsk12.net, then I need to be in the account and have that spreadsheet open when I add the add-on. So that's why I'm switching over here and actually opening it up into the separate or distinct Google account so that you can actually do that sending and that the email address doesn't get confused, so that you're not giving out your Gmail address when you don't want to. If you don't want other people to have that personal address, it makes a lot of sense to make sure that you're in your Google Apps account, or that you're in the account that you want those emails to get triggered from. And you do the exact same thing. You use your lovely drop down and you open up your Formule so that you can actually open up and start the process. And so what you're doing is you're doing that exact same thing that we did with Autocrat, but you're sending out information just using email. You're not using a document necessarily, but you're maybe communicating about that document, or you're communicating about the next steps. And so what we have is it's triggered on form submit, and just in case it doesn't get triggered correctly, we can have it do it on a timer. And what's great is we're saying that any time that there is a document that's already been created, we'll send this email out. But it's checking to see if there is a link to that document already, and if there's not, it won't send it out. If the document has been created, great. Send out this really quick email, and it'll give you some additional guidance for what you need to do next with your proposal. And so what's great about that is you can actually just write an email. You can write it like you would write a normal email by clicking through the steps, and I can choose, and I can actually put their name directly into the subject line of the email. And then I can write out the instructions. I can link to things. You'll notice that I'm using a little bit of HTML. You'll see that I'm using an ordered list or a numbered list to say, this is what I want you to do first, this is what I want you to do second, and so forth. And so what you get to do is you get to invite people, and you can even do some more sophisticated things like shorten links within the spreadsheet. If you're interested in sort of using a couple of different tools, you can actually make those really long Google Doc links into shortened links that people can have access to. And it really helps to kind of individualize the content for someone and really making it theirs. And so we'll switch back over to this other view so that we can go back into the process. But now that we've collected the information in our Google spreadsheet, now that it's gone out in a document form, it's shared with them and shared with their Google accounts, and the email has happened and it instructs them to join the Google Plus community, the participant receives that email. They receive actually two emails, one with the shared document, and then also with the instructions to join the community and to share their PPLP, their essential question, with the rest of the community. But we're not quite done, because these folks are actually a part of the strategic partnership. And so what we get to do is within Google Drive, we can take those groups, and I'm just going to, we'll take a look at our strategic partners. Within our strategic partnerships, there are a number of different groups that are leading groups of participants in Project Cam Opener. So what I want to do is take a look at DSISD, and I get to see all of the PPLP documents that are within DSISD, and I can see that all of the documents have been added. They've not been moved out of that main document space because we need to use them as a part of Appender, right? If you ever want to see that in Appender. But what's great about Google Drive is they can also be within this folder. So they've been added to this strategic partnership folder, but they're still in the main folder so that I can see all of them together. And so I then send an email off as a part of this process. I send an email off saying, hey, here are all of your PPLPs and proposal documents that are for your strategic partnership, and you can start working with your participants in helping them to do reflective practice cycles. So that's the entirety of the process. Whether you are an individual participant or you are a participant as a part of a group, you have the ability to create a personalized professional learning plan and to follow through this process and be supported throughout this process. So there are some things that obviously you can that we skimmed over, or that you may still have questions about. Please do let me know what those questions are, either by leaving a comment or by sending an email. You now know all of my email addresses as a part of this tutorial, but I really appreciate you watching and learning with me. And let me know what your processes are. How are you doing this to create sort of a seamless process using the tools and using the relationships that you have for the work that you are doing. Again, have a great day.